after we did this, I was like, well, I have the best idea in the world, and I'm going to change everybody's life, and everybody's going to be a team because I have them paint together. This is marvelous. So I called my financial planner, and remember, I'm unemployed at this point, and I said, guess what? I'm going to need my money. And what do financial planners say? What? And so I started telling him about it, and he said, that's interesting. And I said, come on, you just got to try it. Well, you can imagine how excited a financial planner was to do art. So he brought his wife, and we had several test groups, and the financial planner got to paint with a 15-year-old girl and a football coach. I thought, if a team of people who've never met one another and are that diverse can paint together, I'm onto something. I got it, and we're just going to roll from here. So here's what happened. The 15-year-old hung on the side of the canvas. We call it the segmented canvas, when everybody paints in their own space. And she painted over here, and she had some little stick people, and the football coach was over here, and he painted the most tragic jack-o'-lantern you have ever seen. However, I found out later it wasn't a jack-o'-lantern, it actually was a smiley face, but none of us could tell that. So they painted this smiley face, and the financial planner stood in the middle of the canvas. It was absolutely fascinating. He went like this, up and down. He also, I should tell you, was holding a baby, so that was helpful. And so he paints up and down, and the music starts bumping, and he goes like this. That was real. We were amazed. Actually, I thought, oh crap, this is not the idea. It's not going to work. I got to figure out how to sing happy birthday to these people so they can write their letter of resignation. We'll roll up the tents and we'll all just go for home, because it wasn't working. And then the magic of the team took over, the magic of people creating side by side. And my daughter came and got me, and she said, you gotta see this. Because I'd left the room, I was shattered. I was like, oh, this is not good. So I came out, and the football coach had hands full of white paint. And he walked up to that smiley face, or jack-o'-lantern, and he smeared it out. And then he started smearing across the rest of the canvas. And the other people were absolutely pissed, because he was destroying their art. And then it clicked, and this is what happens. We have 3 stages to this. It's called Begin, where it's very segmented, and then it's called Become, where the team looks up and they're like, oh my God, we're painting together. Yeah, you've been bumping one another for 10 minutes. It's a good thing you finally noticed each other. But they realized that they could paint with each other and that they could create amazing things. So they all got their hands in this, and they're smearing it out, and the financial planner got rid of the baby. I'm not even sure who held the baby at that point, because it was so electric I couldn't take my eyes off what was happening. And the financial planner is standing back, throwing paint at the canvas. We're like, whoa, this is amazing. And then they figured out how to create this orange blob in the center of the canvas. Now, I've never decided if that's a sunshine or a sunflower or what it is, but it doesn't matter, because to them it mattered. And to them it was about who they are. And they stood back, and they tilted their heads to the left, and they tilted their heads to the right, and they bumped each other, and pretty soon they were hugging, because they'd created this art together. And at that moment, I knew I had the best idea ever. I could change the world with this. So I said to the financial planner, what do you think? Can I have my money? He's like, oh my gosh, it's not can you have your money? You got to do this. I've done all kinds of team building, hand holding, singing Kumbaya. It never works. This is unbelievable. Take all of your money and run. And so that's what I did. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good endorsement. So what you don't know yet about this process is that we have 4 rules, and we have the 3 stages. So one of the rules that people don't know about, well, until today when I'm making it public, what they don't know until the moment they're going to put paint on that canvas is that they paint in complete silence. So they figured out how to do this without talking to one another. Now, when we're painting with hundreds of people or thousands of people, it is phenomenal to hear that room be absolutely silent. At the end of the process, men are like, oh, that was nice. And women talk about how hard that was, because it was hard to communicate, but they have to learn new modes of communication. And in this communication, they learn what brushstrokes mean, and they learn what bumping into one another means, and they make crazy faces at each other, trying to decide what this art should look like. So the final stage is when they complete the art, and they stand back and they look at it, and they take it to their office or they hang it in their homes, and they talk over and over about the moment they believed in one another. Where people who in the begin stage didn't even want to be in the room because they don't like team building, they maybe don't even like Joe that they're going to be standing beside, when they're just not excited to be there, they do like you guys did with the paintbrush, and they just start painting for the team. Because a lot of times we'll do more for a team than we'll do for ourselves. And so you attempt to do this with the team, and when you guys create something that you stand back and you're like, oh my gosh, look what we made, you feel so proud. And there is this purity in the air that hangs with the team. And in that air, they can talk about new goals. They solve problems very, very creatively. It's so exciting to watch a team say, oh my gosh, I got it. I know what we're going to do next. And they just use this as a catalyst for change. One company that was warring, they had new stores that were coming on, and they were all sure the store to the north was the problem, the store to the east really was the problem. We brought them all into a room, and we said, what's going on? And we painted together, and they actually got along with one another. By the end of the day, there was a lot of paint thrown that day. The average canvas weighs 1.5 pounds. Mad canvases weigh 7.5 pounds. It's crazy what a team will do with paint on a canvas. And we know now all of the stages that will happen. We know what to do. If a team needs to work on change, we'll drive change with the art that's happening on this canvas. If they need to work on communication, we'll do that. So this company that was warring, at the end of the day, they stood together and just looked at a blank canvas. And they said, what if we put our hands on that canvas? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if there's one person that gets their hand in the canvas or in the paint, or if there's 100 people that get their hands in the paint. As long as one person does it, everybody in the room feels connected. They might be painting, sometimes we have a sea of canvases, and they might be painting all the way across the room from one another, but they feel connected because they got 4 senses involved. So this team said, what if we put our hands on there? I'm like, well, try it. I don't know. Let's see what happens, because you guys aren't really that nice to one another, but let's go for it. And so they start putting their hands on the canvas. And again, the creativity of the team took over. And they decided to write their company name on top of all those handprints. And they decided that from then on, everybody who joins their company would get to put a hand on that canvas. The other thing they did that was significant was they put a 1 in front of their company name, because they were one group of people with one goal. And they wanted to remember that. And it was all because they stopped and stood side by side and listened to one another and followed one paintbrush stroke. They were doing something that they didn't think they could do, but they were honest with the team and said, let's try this. So that company has actually had a phenomenal change in culture. They no longer say, I need you to. They say, will you do me a favor? And they like working in that company. They have a picture of that painting in each one of their corporate offices, and it hangs where they have their meetings, and they talk about who they are and what they promised one another. So that final stage when they're doing that is called believe. And I think that's the most important stage. When you believe in your innovation and you believe in the people you're working with, you can do absolutely phenomenal things. And I know you're all in the room because you have something you believe in. And it doesn't matter if people say interesting or if they say, oh my gosh, it's amazing. You just got to go do it. So go out and do what you believe in. Thank you.